What's your if I get caught there's no explanation story? I was in a camp shower, stalls not open, when an unaccompanied kid about 4 years old started crawling into my stall from below the door. I was telling him to scram, but he wasn't listening. It was only us in the showers at the time. I had no idea where his folks were. I scrambled to put my clothes on, still soaking wet, when it was clear this kid was bent on getting into my stall. I rinsed the soap out of my hair with my clothes on, and then took the kid by the hand to find his parents. Had I been caught in the shower with a stranger's child, I'd have had a very difficult time explaining it. I found his mom, frantic. About 5 minutes later, I guess the kid was looking for his dad, who he heard was in the showers, and he thought I was him. Flew on a major airline with a razor blade hidden in my phone case. I was meaning to buy one to peel the window tint off of my car, but I found one at work in a drawer. I didn't have any way to safely carry it, so I put it in my phone case behind my phone. I about died when I was on the beach and realized what I had done. Threw it in the trash right away before I forgot again. When visiting a friend, went straight in to the wrong house. In their building, people keep their doors open. Make myself a cup of tea, put on the TV, and wait on the sofa for them to return. Someone else comes in, says nothing, looks at me weird, and goes to the bedroom. Call up my friend to ask when they are coming. They are at their house. They come and pick me up. A couple years ago, I jumped in a stranger's car while they were in it. I was waiting on a lift from a friend and I see their car pull up. I just go jump in the passenger and say something like it's about time arsehole, and then silence. Look over and I do not know this man. Total stranger just driving a similar car. Not even the same make/model. I apologize profusely and get out. Thankfully they were amused and not angry. I was with friends at a local park late at night. Like 2 or 3 am. Parks close at 11 and a cop doing his drive-through check of the park found me and my 2 friends sitting in a picnic area, and we definitely were not supposed to be there. We had all gotten stoned and hatched a ridiculous plan to mess with our other friend. The cop approached us while we were laughing hysterically with a huge bag of potatoes in front of us while we drew sexually charged images on the potatoes with Sharpie markers. It was rough trying to explain to him that the penis potatoes were supposed to be a practical joke. We were going to leave them all over our friend's lawn. Somehow he was fine with that and told us to take our potatoes and go somewhere other than the park. I still remember that night fondly. When I was 13, I used to go out to the woods behind the neighborhood, get naked, and light gasoline on fire. I was a strange child and I decided that I would hide in my neighbor's bush in a ghillie suit in the pouring rain. I just watched a couple of cars drive by and marveled at the fact that the bush kept most of the rain off my head. I was getting ready for a New Year's Eve party and decided I needed to shave, but I didn't have any aftershave or shaving cream. So I used a little bit of watered down vodka just to make sure everything was fresh, but I sort of gave off a vodka smell. Then I realized I needed to pick up drinks for the party, so I went to the liquor store, but I got kind of lost in a neighborhood because there were a lot of one-way streets, and I kept repeatedly passing a police car hanging out at a corner. I realized how suspicious I would look driving around on nice smelling like vodka on my way to the liquor store. Luckily everything went fine and me and my friends partied in my basement and then Ubered to a bar. My boss left his office door open one time. I was working late that night and went into his laptop to see if he had anything juicy. He did. He had a document with a title something like "What is wrong with 99 Thieves" name. It included a handy list of my character flaws. If I had gotten caught, there would have been absolutely no excuse. 1. Always sneaking into my office and looking at my computer. When I was a teenager, my buddy lived in one of those gated communities with security patrol cars at night. We loved sneaking around at night and hiding from them, ding dong ditching, and shit like that. Once we found one of those cars empty, so my ballsy friend went and opened it and stole a radar gun. And there really wasn't a reason, just for the lols. I think he still has it. We didn't get caught though. Backstory: I once had such bad depression functioning as a person became hard. My mom stopped by. No knock like several of my close PPL then. Brought groceries so I could try and eat better. Surprise, I don't want to cook. So I was hungry for a while. But she got me mangoes. Now I love mangoes, but only at the correct ripeness, so it's hit or miss. I sat down on the couch with one so sure it would be bad. It was so good. It was the first thing I had been happy/surprised about in what seemed like forever. No way I could have explained. I ripped into that mango in the middle of my living room. And I mean ripped. I'm talking juice going all down my hands, down my face. Huge bites. IDKY, but at one point I crouched down, and my cat was just sitting under me licking my hands as I ate. I must have looked savage, and I'm so happy no one walked in to check on me right then. That was a super low point, and it woke me up a bit. But maybe that was just the mango. Edit. I honestly didn't think anyone would read this. Thank you for the awards, kind stranger. I have never gotten one before. And thank you everyone for your support and mango love. I got razor burn on the back of my thigh. I have horrible eyesight, so in order to see where the burns are I have to bring my face physically closer to the back of my thigh. Cut over to me. Foot up behind my head as I rub lotion on the back of my thigh, sitting in my office chair watching Lilo and Stitch. My notes app, that includes argument defenses and scenarios I made up. Stealing a truck and driving it home because the owner had agreed to sell it to me, but he was out of town and wanted me to move it before it got towed. But he had the keys and paperwork. It was a short drive, but nervous as hell in a very small cop saturated town in a hot wired truck. Going outside in full winter gear, bundled up to my eyes in the middle of a hot summer night because I saw my dog sniffing something on the ground and was worried it was a dead animal and wanted to check. But I have OCD and am fixated on bats and an intense fear of being bitten by a bat, so I covered every inch of myself in padded clothing. Wouldn't be surprised if the neighbors saw me. Oh, it was epic teenage stupidity. Girl invited me over to a small house party. I was the only guy, score, and there was drinking, new to me. So we all got hammered. Then someone came up with the idea of strip football. All I know is, I'm drunk as hell. All I got left on are my boxers. At least one of them girls was in full underwear. One was actually topless but jeans on. We were all ducking, living it up in the backyard when her parents came home unexpectedly, and I literally ran. Grabbed my jeans that had my wallet in it and just ran for my life from there, sacrificing my shoes and other clothes in the name of stupidity. I was a weird kid. I printed out erotic literature and hid it. I took it to the bathroom to read, and my mom wanted to know what was taking me so long. I ended up ripping it up into tiny pieces over the next 10 minutes and flushing it. I had a sub filled with ducks and a couple chickens in a graveyard around midnight. Me and the other guy happened to have knives on us, but that was not related. Got busted by the cops, who threatened to charge us for stealing city property for taking the fowl from a nearby park. But they let us go. We had been waiting there while an accomplice infiltrated the girls' dorm. The plan was to release them into the dorm. Got caught pretending to be a duck mourning my fallen brethren in the bathroom of a Chinese restaurant, famous for its Peking duck. Failed to explain. The explanation: I was a nerdy kid. We could get out of sports at my middle school by doing a school play instead. The majority of the theater kids were there to avoid sports, rather than a specific love for the theatrical arts. That said, the drama teacher was truly an awesome human being and very popular. However, he was extremely ambitious with what he could accomplish. I liked him a lot, so I did my best to follow his directions. Even though I had precisely zero talent, he was always very appreciative of my effort. In the 8th grade, it was decided that we would do the Conference of the Birds for our school play that term. The Conference of the Birds is not a play. It is a mystical epic poem by the Sufi poet Rumi, about a bunch of birds who go off in search of the king of birds, the Simurgh. On their journey, they gradually discard their individual identities until they discover that once they have discarded individuality and united, they collectively are the Simurgh. We workshopped this into a play. I did not understand this. I was not entirely sure what workshopping meant, but I was very eager and tried really hard. I was cast as the duck. I struggled to identify with my character. Beyond walking awkwardly and quacking, our drama teacher suggested an exercise every now and then. Throughout the day, think for a moment about how the duck would respond if they were in your position. So it was that. Sitting at the dinner table at the Chinese restaurant, looking at a very tasty Peking duck, 14-year-old me decided to go to the bathroom and really feel out how a duck would respond to the roasted, seasoned, and sliced up corpse of its brethren. I'd never really heard anguished quacking beforehand, but I gave it my best shot. I got a bit too into it, alarmed the other bathroom goers, and my parents were summoned by concerned staff. I did not know how to even begin to explain. This woman I used to babysit for got picked up for drug trafficking. Must have been a big hit, because I'm visiting a friend next door to her place one day, and cops are hauling out pretty much everything she owns. Now, I liked babysitting for this woman. She paid me a truckload of money, and had all the best SNES games, Kirby Superstar, Super Metroid, Chrono Trigger, and I'm watching these cops carry stuff out, and one has all her Super Nintendo games shoved in paper bag. I very nearly blurted out, "Hey, those are mine. I left them here while babysitting." I wanted to, but I realized I had nothing to back that up, and they would know I was basically trying to steal those games in a heartbeat. So I didn't do it, because there would have been no explanation, except maybe a shrug, a "Come on, man, Chrono Trigger," and the hope one of those cops was as big a gamer as I was. When I was 14, I went with my grandmother, 2 of my aunts, and my cousin to Georgia. My cousin and I got our own room, and at nights we would sneak out and go to the pool/hot tub, go get snacks and sit in the lobby, etc. Oftentimes we wouldn't even get back until 1 or 1:30 am, and somehow never woke any of the adults in the room over. Anyway, one night we were out really late, like 2 am, and in the rush of trying to get back to the room, we forgot the room key on the lounge chair. It was an indoor pool, so you only needed a room key to get in, but not leave, and we didn't realize we had forgotten it until we got back up to the room and couldn't get in. Anyway, my cousin ended up falling asleep in the hallway, and I went back down to try to figure out a way to get into the pool to get the room key back. By some miracle, there was some guy who was in the 24/7 fitness center working out at 2:30 am, and after I knocked on the door and explained my situation, he helped me get into the pool area so I could get my key back, and I was able to go back to the room, carry my cousin to bed, and go to bed myself without being caught. If any of the adults had found my cousin sleeping on the floor outside the room, I don't even know how I would've explained myself. Me and my friend stole a construction sign and ran down the street with it. One of those big orange reflective ones. You know, the ones they design so you can see them easily? Yeah, one of those. Please subscribe and leave a like if you enjoyed this video, and if you want to see more of Reddit Universe.